The Silkworms. A very long time ago in Japan, two girls lived next to each other in Mikawa province. Their only source of earning their living was by raising silkworms. One of the girls did really well with her silkworms. The second girl tried very hard to raise the silkworms, but she could not. All her attempts failed. The first girl became richer and the second one became poorer. All the youths and the girls that assisted her lost interest and left her one after another. All her silkworms started dying. Only one of them was left. This single silkworm ate the mulberry leaves well, and it grew bigger day by day. On one hand, the second girl thought that it was futile to raise a single silkworm, but on the other hand, she took great care of it. Ultimately, it became a strangely big worm. The Dog and the Worm. One day, the second girl took this big worm outside to feed it mulberry leaves. She had kept a little white dog at her house, which stood at the door, wagging its tail. The dog kept a watch on the silkworm outside the house. When the girl was not looking, the dog quickly took the worm and ate it up. The girl was very upset and on the verge of crying. To see the last worm being eaten up by the dog made her lose all hope. She cried over her bad luck. But it was something that the dog had done. What could she do about it? On the other hand, the dog lay unaware of what damage it had done. It did not care. Sadly, the girl looked at it and felt sorry for herself. Suddenly, the dog sneezed. The girl noticed something like a pair of white threads running out of its nose, about 1 inch long. Dog's head thread. The threads that came out of the dog's nose looked exactly like silk. It was strange. The girl took the ends of the threads and tried drawing them out. But the ends were very long and seemed unending. She quickly brought the reel and fastened the ends to it. Then she began winding it. The threads kept coming out. She filled 100 reels and then 200 reels. But the thread still did not break. After about 35 or 40 pounds of thread had come out, the dog, all of a sudden, fell down and died. The girl thought that the dog was a messenger from God. So she buried the dog under a mulberry bush in the back garden. State ceremonies were being held in Kyoto about that time. An official went out into all the land searching for thread for the emperor's garments. The silk. The official looked into the first girl's house. There was a huge amount of silk, but it was dark and so full of knots that it could not be used. He saw the silk floss bleaching in the yard of the second girl. It was pure white and had such a beautiful sheen that it seemed to be perfect material for the emperor's clothes. The official immediately went to the second girl and bought all the silk. The girl was no longer poor now. The following year, silkworms appeared by themselves on the mulberry tree in the backyard where the dog had been buried. They produced the same kind of beautiful thread. Since then, the silk floss at Mikawa always was finer than that of other regions. It definitely was the result of the eggs from the worm in the dog's head.
Thanks for watching. Do like, share, subscribe to Sahil Book House.